皆様、こんにちは。ミッキー京子です。今日もですね、ペギーさんに来ていただいております。はい。Have something beautiful. Is there any name for that?
Well, it's called an Egyptian collar.
Oh,
Um,
Egyptian color.
these are tiny little beads, and in the center is a scarab. I see if I can show you in my camera up close. But
Mm-hmm.
the scarab is it's a bug, and it's one of the symbols for life in the Egyptian mythology. And so it's also the Ankh, which is right over here. The Ankh is another of those symbols of life. This is an Egyptian, it's called the Eye of Horus, which has to do with the chakra, the all-seeing eye, and things like that. So that's, this is a representation of what they might have made for the queens, or not just the queens, but the noble people who had the money to pay for this kind of thing. So this is something that was very, you see in the temples, some of the carvings, they have great necklaces like this, and we would call it a necklace today, but they called it a collar.
Color. I see. Well, Peggy, do do you feel different when you put that on?
I do. I do. It's very interesting. It has a kind of a distinct smell, and I think the smell has to do with this is ceramic and they fired it, but it has that little. For me, when I open the box that it's in, I get the smell of the desert. That's what it reminds me
Oh.
of.
Oh, is that a good smell?
It is for me, yes. Egypt is the home of my heart. And
Mm.
I don't know if your viewers believe in past lives, but I certainly do. And over the years, I've had many memories of past lives. They just come to me spontaneously. Um, from childhood, I believed in past lives. My family absolutely did not. But when I was 19, I had my very first past life experience. I walked into this house it was an antebellum home that was a museum. And I
Yes.
walked into this house and I said, wait, that furniture doesn't belong here. It goes over there. And things like that. And I suddenly realized I've been here before, but yet I knew I hadn't been there before. And so that was the first of my past life memories, and I've had many, many, many since. So I Egypt is one of those places where I have long, deep memories, and I know that it is my homeland of my heart.
Mm.
It's a land with ancient history, and amazing sacred sites. I mean, it's not the only place in the world with amazing sites, but it's very unique. And so I have quite a story to tell you about
Yeah.
it.
So, Peggy, you visited Egypt 4 months ago or 5 months ago. It was April or May? April?
Um, March. I was there in March.
March. You went there March.
Uh,
And then you're going to talk about that trip, right?
yes, I that was my fifth trip to
Yes.
Egypt. Yeah, number five.
Wow. Oh, okay. And then are you going to talk about it first, or are you going to show me slides first?
I
Or
I will
what,
kind of
together?
I'll do a little of both. I'll talk about it. Let me share my screen. So this is one of the many hundreds and hundreds of temples. Um, this little black spot down here,
Yes.
that's the door that's about 20 feet tall. A person would come about halfway up on this door.
Oh. I see. Mm,
This is absolutely huge. It's
mm.
huge and it's carved in the side of a mountain. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's yes. But
Oh,
let me tell you about my
that
first trip.
that part, that one, could
So
you
this,
get in?
yeah, this is the airport. This is in
Yes,
the
this is the
airport.
airport.
This is the airport, and this was my very first trip to Egypt.
Oh,
And our guide met us and took these photographs just after we got out of, from the plane down the aisleway. But my experience getting off the plane, now uh, let me stop share so you can actually see my face a little bit more here for just a minute. Getting off the plane, I felt like I had this just like when I was recovering from the rheumatoid arthritis, I felt myself fly. Well, when I got to Egypt, I felt the land, the goddess of the land, come up to me. Now, this had happened to me in Ireland previously, so it wasn't a new experience, but this being, this presence, I mean, was not physically there, but this awareness, this presence came up to me, and and it was as if I could hear her say, "What took you so long?" And then the image that I had, the imagery, let me back up, was as if I had a basket, huge basket in front of me in my arms, like I'm holding a basket.
yes.
The basket was my life, all my life experiences. She took my basket from me, turned it upside down, and scattered it to the four directions, and handed me the empty basket. And she said, "Time to start over."
Want to start a new life, you mean?
Yes, yes. So it's quite a journey. So let me go back to the screen share and kind of show you a few of the things. There we go. So the pyramids, are huge, obviously, and a big part of Egypt. I took this picture. I was staying in a lodge not too far from and I took this from the porch of where I was staying. But basically the Egyptians saw no separation, the ancient Egyptians, between the spiritual and the mundane. Like everything, every artifact, every temple, every statue served a physical purpose, but it also served the earth and the universe. And so that's part of the mystery of how the temples and the pyramids were built. They are, built on a square base. I mean, there's all sorts of geometric information about it, but they're just absolutely astounding. There are
Yes.
5 of these in this particular area in Giza, but there are dozens and dozens of pyramids throughout the country. These are just the largest and the most famous. This one is called the Red Pyramid. It's about 30 miles from where that one was located. My very first trip was with a Sacred Circle dance group, and
Excuse
we
me,
were
that was 2018?
mhm, 2018, and we were dancing at the Red Pyramid. We also danced in front of this temple. This is Hatshepsut's temple. She was probably the most famous female pharaoh in history. She wasn't the only one, but she was the most famous.
Mm-hmm.
And this is yet another pyramid where I was meditating, and my friend took a picture of me sitting there. This one is one of the Great Pyramids back in that section in Giza. And this is my daughter sitting on one of the blocks meditating as well. This one, this picture was 2019. This one was 2020 when we were there. And she was with me on that tour. Um, So the people in Egypt, I mean, I feel so at home. These are people that I met down the road. I mean, I had an American friend who lived there in this is the city of Luxor, and she took me to visit friends, and it was as if I had always known them. This is the grandmother, and this is her oven where she bakes bread every day. It's up on the rooftop.
Wow.
And she took me up to show me how she bakes the bread. And these are her, this one, little one in the middle is her grandchild. And these are our neighbors, and these are her
Oh,
grandchildren. All, I mean, it was like, oh, they were just so warm and so wonderful. Such an amazing experience. With these people, not just the land, but the people themselves. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Egyptian history. This is a map of Egypt. This is the very most southern point where it says
yes.
Sudan, that's the next country. And the
Mhm.
River Nile runs north. Now, it's very unusual. There aren't very many rivers in the world that run north, but this one runs from the south. Actually, it comes from below Sudan and runs all up through here. And
Mhm.
the story is that the temples that were built along the Nile were placed to correspond with our chakras. Yeah, our the chakras in our body, the root, the gonad, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the crown, the brow.
So which is a crown? I mean, the sea area or south? So which?
I'll, I'll show you on each one. So the root is all, it starts down here all the way at the south. That very first picture I showed you was Abu Simbel, which is here. And
Oh,
so this area at the very most southern part is considered to be the root chakra.
I see.
And so the temple of Philae, which is the temple for Isis, and Abu Simbel are the root chakra. And then you move up the river a little further along to the village that's called Kom Ombo, and it is associated with the gonad or the sacral chakra. And this
Yes.
is the Komombo temple, part of the temple, and this is part of it as well. This is one of my friends who's a guide there. The solar plexus is yet another, on up the river, just a little further along. It's at the Temple of Horus in the village called Edfu, 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 dedicated to Horus, the falcon-headed god. The heart chakra is Luxor, which is where my home is. And this, you can see how large this temple is based on the size of the people here.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and this is me sitting
Mhm.
by the head of a statue that was broken. This is just the head. That's how large the statue was.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's just amazing. And I'm sitting there with my head covered. I frequently, they do not expect, Muslims typically will cover their head, and they don't expect non-Muslims or tourists to do that. But when I'm there, not as a tourist, I do cover my head out of respect for the culture.
I see.
So you'll see several pictures of, if I have more of me in there, I usually have a scarf on. So the next level on passing on through the river is Abydos, and it vibrates at the throat chakra. This is one of the
Oh,
walls. This is a picture of
oh,
one of the walls, and he is this is Horus, the falcon god, and this is one of the pharaohs honoring the god. And so moving again further down, this is getting closer to Cairo. This is where the Sphinx and Giza
yes.
is where the Great Pyramids, those five large ones are located. And
Mhm.
this is connected to the brow energy.
Oh.
Yeah. And this is just, I mean, standing there in front of the Sphinx, I could feel that brow energy. I didn't even at the time know, but yeah, I felt a connection to
Peggy,
it.
excuse me. Did you say you felt energy here?
Hmm.
What kind of sensation did you have?
Well, when I was there with the Sphinx, it was just like it's very subtle. It's not
Yes.
like a pounding headache or anything, but it
Yes.
was just like a as if my hand were there kind of vibrating on my forehead. It was that kind of a sensation.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
just an awareness that something was going on. And then
Wow.
the crown energy is both Cairo and then all the way to the Mediterranean Sea at Alexandria.
Mhm.
So these are pictures at Alexandria. This is Pompey's pillar, and
Oh,
this is a another Sphinx, but this is Alexander the Great. This is Alexander's Sphinx. They're in
oh,
the city of
really?
Alexandria.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This a side view of it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So the Egyptian spirituality, is one with beauty, the beauty of the earth, and being in harmony with the universe. So beauty and truth link us to the depths of what the sacred sites themselves have to teach us. So this is a picture. I was on a smaller boat one day on the Nile. We're floating down the Nile. This is Luxor behind me. This is the sun was setting there, and we're in this small boat floating along the river. And I looked over at Luxor. Now I grew up very near a city in the United States called Nashville, Tennessee, which is on a river, on the Cumberland River. And I've been in a boat on the Cumberland River, floating by, and could look by and see Nashville. So I'm on the Nile looking at Luxor, and it took my breath away. It was as if I felt like I was looking at home. And that was that true realization. Luxor and the other names that it had in the past has been my home for many lifetimes.
Wow.
Mhm. I remember modern Luxor, but I remember ancient Luxor when it was called Thebes.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, Peggy,
Yeah,
one moment, please. Yep. Um, I'm afraid I have to stop now and then
right.
can you continue this story about Egypt? I mean,
Yes.
true. Okay, then one moment, please. I have to. Oh my goodness, this is not easy. So I should just stop. Oh, oops.